Hello, my lovelies. I am Madam Crystal Butterfly. I am a big fan of alternative fairy tales. And it's not just because I'm writing a series of alternative fairy tales. They're just so fun for me because I like to see how someone can take a classic story, loved by so many people, and put their own spin on the story. So I'm excited to talk to all of you about today's book, The Crown of Bones, by Rosalyn Briar. But before we get too deep into what this story is all about, let's take just a second to learn a little bit about the author.
Rosalyn has been writing for about 5 years and has written 6 books and several short stories. She first took an interest in writing as a hobby after her youngest child was born, partially because she needed to have a silent hobby for when the baby was asleep, but mostly because she told herself or dreamed up stories to help herself fall asleep at night. One day she decided to start writing down one of her stories, and soon after that she fell in love with writing. The Crown of Bones started to manifest itself in Rosalyn's mind when her husband Oma told her about a German custom for sending death notices on a black line card in lieu of obituaries. It got her wheels turning about the concept of a death notice coming before you die. She also has always been infatuated with Grimm's fairy tales, and she came up with the idea of all of the Grimm brothers' stories having the same villain, connecting them all, leading to the creation of The Crown of Bones. When it came to getting The Crown of Bones published, Rosalyn didn't really have any serious fears, unlike her first story, where she was having a hard time due to her fear of forgetting something or messing up something in the process. As for why she even wants to have anything to do with this book stuff to begin with, stems from her love of how magical books are, via books' ability to transport a person to new places and evoke emotions in them. She also is drawn to the beautiful prose and atmosphere that books can create.
In its own way, The Crown of Bones reminds me of a spider's web. The same way a spider is able to weave together the different strands of its web into a beautiful, intricate design. The author was able to weave together different fairy tales in a way that beautifully told the story of a young woman forced to endure trauma, pain, and sacrifice.
Gisela knows about sacrifice all too well. She abandoned her education, friends, and fairy tales to support her family and care for her sister, but when she jolts a wealthy suitor, Gisela is chosen for another type of sacrifice. As an offering to the goddess Berga, Gisela and 7 others are sent on a deadly quest for a mythical crown. To return home, Gisela must overcome obstacles which darkly resemble the fairy tales she once believed, weaving through a tapestry of friendship, romance, violence, and magic. Gisela becomes the target of an ancient evil force, while an ominous deal from the past haunts her at every turn. To what lengths will Gisela go to save the ones she loves? Sometimes sacrifices must be made.
Far too much is expected of poor Gisela. After the tragic death of her brother, her father turned to the drink, and her mother, although not as far gone as her father, is not a whole lot of help. But don't worry, fortune favors Gisela when she wins the town's lottery, with the grand prize being you get to be a sacrifice to their goddess, where you endure deadly trials that you will most likely not survive. Hey, wait a minute. What kind of prize is that?
The trials Gisela was forced to go through were truly creative. Each trial is designed around a different fairy tale. In one of the trials, Gisela and the rest of the offerings are exhausted and scared after surviving a previous trial, when Rumpelstiltskin just pops out of nowhere and tells them if they don't guess his name, he's going to murder them. This particular scene in the story was just so thrilling, not just from how the author weaved Rumpelstiltskin into the story, but she was able to create tension for the characters as they tried to guess his name. The characters are aware of fairy tales the same way we are aware of them. However, in this scene, you're concerned if they even heard about Rumpelstiltskin's story, or if they can even guess his name, which was a beautiful way to build tension. But my favorite part of Rosalyn's story is when she introduces her own take on the Frog Prince. As someone who created their own spin on the Frog Prince story, I find it fun to see other people's idea for their take on a new version of the Frog Prince. I'm not going to get deep into how this author shook up the tail of this frog. I did, however, really like how she introduced the concept of the Frog Prince story. In The Crown of Bones, you don't immediately meet the Frog Prince. Instead, you meet Heinrich. In the original Frog Prince story, Heinrich was the frog's servant. He had to put iron bands around his heart in order to keep his heart from bursting from sadness when his master was turned into a frog. In The Crown of Bones, the author puts an interesting twist on why there are metal bands around his heart, and also why his master got turned into a frog.
Enough with the frogs. It's time to see how many butterflies this book scored. So, The Crown of Bones by Rosalyn Briar has earned a fantastic 5 butterflies out of 5. This story was just such a fun read, my lovelies. And if you do not get yourself a copy of this book, you'll really be missing out. Now, if you've made it to this part of the video, thank you so much. And please give this video a like. Leave me a little comment. And if you have not yet, click the subscribe button like it owes you money. And don't forget to give that little notification bell a ring. And with that, my lovelies, this video is a wrap. Now if you please, come with me as we dance into a world of magic.